Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Planet Tyro for another book discussion review. I'm your host, Donald Wunder. It's been a while, and a lot of you already know what's coming. I spoke about this book series I want to talk about in another video, and now I want to talk about it in a bit more detail. Now, to be honest with you, I like doing book reviews in front of the camera because I've got so many comments that black guys read a lot of science fiction, or this negative stereotype bullshit. I'm just like, guys, let me come in front of the camera so you can see this black guy, nerdy guy, talking about these books. This one in particular, I really liked. I really did like this book. I had my problems with it, but actually, I've got so much to say on the fact I'm not going to be in front of the camera. After the roll, we're going to go into presentation mode, and I'm going to speak about Daniel Arenson's Earthrise saga, which I believe is still going on into this day with Children of Earthrise. But I'm talking about the original 9-book series. Let's get into it. We're back, ladies and gentlemen, in presentation mode to talk about Earthrise because I'm too lazy. Well, I've got too much to say about this series. And I want to say, first of all, this series was recommended to me by an unlikely source, someone who says they don't even like this kind of genre of storytelling. Earthrise is a action drama, military, you can even class it as action horror at times because the violence in this is very extreme, but it's not gratuitous. I will say that I like the terror of the enemies that the characters have to deal with. So I'm not going to get into spoilers here, just in case you don't know what this is. I kind of want to give you the brief overview, then, you know, we'll get into what I thought of it. So Earthrise is a series of, the original series is 9 books. You can call it a triple trilogy. It's about this main character called Marco Emery. He's on Earth. The Earth has been plagued by these aliens. It's been devastated. And he joins the army to fight back. That's the initial premise. The story goes over years. He meets a lot of friends. I don't want to call it space battles because it's very down to earth in more of a Starship Troopers kind of feel. Very military, very low level, even though it goes into space. So that kind of appealed to me. Again, you guys know I like Old Man's War, Ender's Game. It's got those things in common. But to be honest with you, and I know the author himself, he touts and says, if you like Ender's Game, you like Old Man's War, you're going to like this. I would actually compare this more to Battlestar Galactica and Starship Troopers. I think those two are a better blend. It's definitely got the urgency and the terror and the humanity of Battlestar Galactica, and just the military aspect, the young adult aspect of Starship Troopers. And I want to say, you know, as always, guys, I listened to the audiobook specifically. I think the narrator for the audiobook, his name was Jeffrey Kafer. I think he did a fantastic job when he did the female voices, the male voices. You know, it just interchanged so well. For Earth! If you listen to the audiobook version, you hear For Earth! Just that female delivery, so good for Jeffrey Kafer. Pops. But let me tell you something, man. This book series exhausted me emotionally because, you know, you got these young characters and they're fighting this war against these aliens, and it's very emotional. The characters make connections and people die. And I have to say, I think Daniel Arenson did a good job with the characterization because, again, if you think young adult novels, you know, Hunger Games, and we've seen this kind of thing before, even Ender's Game, but I think that characters, even though they start off pretty young, they're a lot more mature than I was actually expecting, especially for young people, which I thought was really, really good. And I think one of the things I have to praise right out the gate is the diversity. This book series has really, really good natural diversity. When I read or watch other sci-fi shows, it just feels like, I don't want to say white cast, but you don't hear people from other countries in these books. I don't know why. You know, obviously you hear aliens, but when it deals with Earth characters, you don't hear. I just don't get the variety that I got in this book, which was very refreshing, and it doesn't feel forced. In fact, a lot of the characters in this book are strong female characters, and again, it doesn't really feel forced. It just feels like these are cool characters. It also helps, the narration is fantastic with the females, gives you much more, you know, you can hear the energy in the voice. So again, Jeffrey Kafer gets the praise here. Let's talk about the story again. I want to get into spoilers now. Again, this is much more akin to Starship Troopers to me. And it was very entertaining on that military adventure level, just like Starship Troopers, just more of that. If you like Starship Troopers, to me, this is a perfect continuation of that kind of idea, but with added characterization. This is like Starship Troopers plus to me, and because of that, I had a really fun time. One of the negatives throughout this series, to be honest with you, are the villains, the antagonists. They are evil, and they're evil for evil's sake, and I just think the author missed a beat on making it have a little bit. I think the antagonists could have been more interesting. They were just evil, then double evil, then triple evil. And I have to say, man, Daniel Arenson, the mind of this man, I don't know if he's a complete fucking sadist, but the things these evil people are doing, these evil aliens are doing, is absolutely just pure sadistic, terrifying madness. And when you're listening, actually, you know what, I will say this as well. If this wasn't an audiobook, I don't think I could get through this series, for the simple reason, the things that aliens are doing to humans, ripping them apart and doing some absolute gory shit. If I was reading this as a page turner physically, I would not get through this. Even listening to it, the fact that I just had to let it play, believe me, that was the only way I got through this. And there was points I thought, this is kind of gratuitous, man. This is just evil for evil's sake, and the villains don't have depth. Why are they doing this? Even though most of their reasons are just animalistic, like, you know, the xenomorph aliens. Why are they doing what they're doing? And then, you know, every trilogy I would say of this series is a new saga, so to speak. Same characters, but a new enemy and a new level. The first three are probably my favorite, because you're dealing with the characters first getting drafted into the army, you're with them, it's a lot of human stuff, a lot of low-level Starship Troopers army stuff. Then the second trilogy is just completely terrifying, detrimental. It's just a complete disaster. But the tension is good. The tension is always good in this series, and the characterization of the characters, you feel for them, you like them. But by the third trilogy, because I will tell you, by the end of the first trilogy, I was wiped out emotionally. I was like, God damn, that was a long ass ride. I can't take anymore. By the second one, somehow Mr. Aronson upped the stakes and made the aliens even more horrific, terrifying, and evil. And I thought, what the hell is going on? How can the humans stand up to this? And by the third, I will say this. With the third antagonist, I think, with the last three books, I think there was a lot more characterization, especially with Marco and the other female characters. You spent a lot more time with them. And the villains in the last trilogy were probably the most interesting of the three. But then, you know, the evilness and their sadism took over. And by the very end, I think another thing is, as the books go on, they become a little bit more sci-fi. I guess first you got the Starship Troopers, then it delves more into, I don't want to say Star Trek, but it becomes more like Battlestar Galactica. And by the end, there's a lot of Star Trek elements here, which is good. They shouldn't be the same thing. I like the fact Mr. Aronson kind of flexes his sci-fi muscles. And by the end of the whole trilogy, I thought the biggest regret I have is reading it all at once, because I felt the weight of this story emotionally every time I finished the trilogy, and I just got exhausted. And honestly, one of the other criticisms I have for the book series is the passage of time between each trilogy makes the story, even for a science fiction story, not believable in a way. I mean, I felt like I was reading a story when every 3 books there was a major alien evil catastrophe happening back to back to back, with genocide upon genocide, and it took me out of the book. The first book I thought was a bit more realistic, but the numbers and the death toll in particular, it just grows so high, it just took me out of the book. It's just like, I can't really believe this. But this book, let me tell you something. I was going on Goodreads, I was reading the reviews, what do other people think of it. I think this book is an entertaining sci-fi action book, like Starship Troopers. Now, a lot of people were slamming the author for not being more cerebral with science fiction. Like, you know, they want some Isaac Asimov thinking science fiction piece. Like Ender's Game, for example. For me, Ender's Game is a lot more pensive. It's a lot more it's even more mature than I would even believe for the characters. Now, Mr. Arenson, with these characters, I think they're pensive enough. I believe them. I think they're well written. I think they're mature. But the speed of the story, the way things goes along, especially how the plots are compacted against each other over the 9 books, it just made it exhausting. It was entertaining, but it just emotionally, like, I need a break. So reading it all at once for me was kind of my own downfall, because by the end, I just wanted it to end because it was so much. So, but in saying that, I was looking at the book history of how the author wrote the book. He seemed to, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm looking at the Goodreads publishing year title. I don't think I've seen an author write a triple trilogy or even a trilogy this fast. Now again, Mr. Arenson might have written this years in advance, and he might have just been putting these out because, but I've never seen an author deliver book by book by book in such succession. And just reading it all at once is my biggest recommendation. You might want to take a break after each trilogy, to be honest with you, because for me, it just wore me out. But it was entertaining as hell. But know what you're getting yourself into. If you want cerebral think pieces, there's Star Trek, there's the Asimov book series. This isn't that as much. This is more Starship Troopers, Battlestar Galactica action, but the characters are mature. So for me, I really, and this was especially, I have to recommend, guys, if you can read this physically as a page turner, you're way better than me, because if it wasn't for the audiobook, I couldn't finish it. It's just too violent. I never thought I would say this. I love violence. What's going on, man? This book put me in my place, and for my sister who doesn't even like this level of violence to enjoy this, I don't know. But let me tell you something. The one word that comes to my mind with this book is entertaining. This is entertaining science fiction, military. Again, I'm going to say it for the umpteenth time. Starship Troopers, Old Man's War. I think it's Starship Troopers, Old Man's War, and Battlestar Galactica. That's what this is. Ender's Game, with the young characters maybe, but I think this was such an enjoyable read. I really did enjoy it. If you're squeamish and you're listening to this, I think there's going to be times you're going to be like, I just can't listen to it anymore. Lastly, the ending for the whole series, I felt was a bit weak, to be honest with you. Story-wise, it was fine, but I don't know. I would have to get into spoilers to say why. There was one sci-fi element used in the book. I want to say it's a bit of time travel in there that at the very end, very, very last trilogy, that I just didn't think was that great, and was a bit, I don't want to say abused, but it kind of took away from the weight for me. Time travel is a very tricky thing. If you inject that in the story, you can lose a lot of well, I don't want to really get into spoilers, but on the whole, would I recommend the series? Definitely. The audiobook series, definitely. The first 3, if you listen to the first 3 books, I think you're going to know if you want to continue with the series. I think I would recommend the first trilogy to more or less anyone. Still, there's violence, this very squeamish, very gory, even for just an audio book or reading book. Be very careful. This can be classed to me as a kind of an action horror at times, but I really like the characters. I really, really, really like the characters, and I really do want to give Mr. Arenson some props, because I do think he tried to diversify. He tried to add a lot of different elements. He tried to stray into Star Trek at near the end a bit. It didn't really work for me. There was one element. They were talking about meditation with the Baba, and I thought, honestly, I've read a lot of meditation books. That whole part of the main character going through meditation was phenomenal. I just have to point, there's a lot of great things I love about the book, but I actually tweeted the author, like, where did you get this from? I've done some meditation stuff on my own, and I love the way he put this into the book. It really makes me want to get into the meditation more. It's just, you know what, and that's just it's just a positive to the writing and the things he tried to put in here. But again, I just want to say it's for the record. Yes, this is not the most cerebral science fiction story. It's more for entertainment, more for action. But the characters are very mature. It's very exciting. It's very nail biting, and I really think this is gonna make a good, I don't know, movie series, TV series. Is very, very violent. I actually don't want them to tone it down, because the violence and the gore is part of the brutality of the alien. So you can't really take that away. I don't know, man. maybe a movie trilogy, but it would definitely be R-rated 18. So I'm not sure, but I'm going to give this book series a low first class. I really did enjoy it. You just know what you're getting yourself into. More entertainment, less cerebral, but mature characters. I think it's got the whole package, and it's fairly underrated. There's a lot of people that hate the series, to my surprise, because I think this is a good pick-up sci-fi for a general audience. Especially if you hear military, you're thinking, I don't want to read military. This is science fiction action more than anything else. It's just a little bit intense. So be careful what you're getting yourself into. And I'm very well aware it's not the most cerebral series. If you want more think pieces, go to Star Trek, go to Isaac Asimov, go to the Old Man's War, which is a lot more pensive. But for me, I love what Daniel Arenson's done here. This first 9-book series, I do recommend it. The ending I wasn't happy about, but now I'm just prattling on. And lastly, before anybody asks, am I reading the follow-up series, which is called Children of Earthrise? I'm halfway through the first book of the children. I don't really like it, to be honest with you. Like I said, I've already got fatigue from the very intense first trilogy, the first triple trilogy. This first book, I don't really like it that much. I'm going to finish it and then maybe I'll do a review. But guys, I'm actually a bit surprised. I didn't really see much reviews for this book on YouTube, which is a shame because I think this is very entertaining, although, again, very violent. So if you've read the Earthrise series, let me know what you think. Leave a comment in the comments down below. I know this was a longer review and I missed a lot of points I wanted to miss, but I might as well make it general. I don't want to get into spoilers, but I don't know how long this is. 15-minute discussion about this book. But it's on Audible. I do recommend it. It's definitely memorable, very entertaining. So check out the Earthrise series by Daniel Arenson. And yeah, man, I think this the end of 2018. I just wanted to throw this one out here because I've been listening to this book for a couple of weeks. And I wanted to give a recommendation. So yeah, here's your Christmas violent recommendation. Enjoy. Christmas Santa Claus with a machine gun killing aliens. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening to another book review. I know this channel is just so quiet. Guys, how many times have I said it? We're doing the podcast, the Voice of Male Podcasters, where you can listen to us talk about everything. Plug for the Voicemail Podcast because we love doing it. And that's where you can hear us almost every week. So check out the podcast. Subscribe to the channel. We're still doing reviews. Hopefully we can revamp the channel in time. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me, Babylon, about this book series. Leave a book recommendation below if you have one. And I will see you on the next recording, guys. Take care. Peace out.